Let's kick things off with a quick history lesson. Back in the 1950s and 60s, Southern California became the epicenter of an expanding car scene, with enthusiasts modifying their hot rods for extra power and speed. By the 1960s, drag racing events were being documented, and from there, car culture as we know it was born. This movement spread across America, Puerto Rico, and most notably, Japan. By the 1970s, specialized car clubs were forming, and car culture evolved into something extraordinary. Fast forward to the early 2000s, and car culture wasn't just a niche interest anymore. It was mainstream. Movies like Gone in 60 Seconds and The Fast and the Furious brought the scene to Hollywood, commercializing the lifestyle and making it a global phenomenon. At the same time, video games began tapping into this craze, delivering experiences where players could not only race, but also customize and fine-tune their rides to perfection. Amid this car culture explosion, a certain studio was hard at work creating a racing game that would arrive ahead of its time. Released in the year 2000, 1 year before The Fast and the Furious, and 3 years before the first Need for Speed Underground, this game captured the essence of street racing like nothing else. For this game was the first racing game for the Sony PlayStation 2. Welcome to episode 1 of the Rockstar Takeover. Today, we're hopping in a taxi and calling all challenges with Midnight Club Street Racing. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome aboard. Today, we're starting the Rockstar Takeover, and I'll be covering a majority of Rockstar fan favorite titles in build up to Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, this includes all the Grand Theft Auto games, Midnight Club, and even LA Noire. So if you're a fan of long, intricate retrospectives, I encourage you to challenge the subscribe button and race to the like button so the algorithm can push this video to more people. Let's dive into this. For those who don't know, I've already covered the first 2 Grand Theft Auto games, as well as GTA London 1969 and London 1961. If you're curious about Rockstar's early history, I touched on it in those retrospectives. I bring this up because in my GTA London video, I discussed the many subsidiary studios attached to Rockstar. Interestingly, the studio responsible for today's game wasn't officially part of Rockstar at the time, but Rockstar was its publisher. So let's lay the groundwork by introducing Angel Studios, the company behind this title. To start, let's talk about a man named Diego Angel. Like industry icons Hideo Kojima or David Cage, Diego Angel had a deep passion for film. At just 19 years old, he left his home country of Colombia to study filmmaking in the United States, as Colombia wasn't exactly the most lucrative place for a film career. While studying, Diego discovered a newfound appreciation for computer animation. At the time, the field was experiencing groundbreaking advancements. CGI, 3D computer animation, and morphing techniques were beginning to revolutionize the industry. Sensing the immense potential of this growing medium, Diego relocated to San Diego in 1984 and founded Angel Studios. The company started out as a contract developer specializing in 3D graphics, offering services ranging from designing advertising symbols to animating sequences for film and industrial purposes. Clients brought the ideas, Angel Studios brought them to life. However, the journey wasn't easy. 3D animation was still in its infancy and incredibly challenging to master, meaning the studio faced its fair share of early struggles. Angel stated, "In San Diego, I got the computer. I got this. I got myself an office. I went to training. Within the first few days, I found that, wow, why the F did I get into this? Diego Angel started small, hiring an art director and a systems expert to help shoulder the workload. The company's first 2 years were grueling. Work was slow to come by, and in their entire first year, Angel Studios only landed a single job earning just $7,000. Despite these challenges, Angel was determined to see his vision through. Over time, Angel Studios began carving out a reputation in the emerging field of 3D graphics, gradually attracting larger clients through the early 1990s. The turning point came in 1992 when the studio collaborated with New Line Cinema on the movie Lawnmower Man. This project was groundbreaking in multiple ways. It featured the first cyber sex scene ever put into film and marked the first instance of a human actor being fully replaced by a CG avatar. These advancements placed Angel Studios firmly on the map, showcasing its technical prowess and creative potential. Angel Studios' transition into game development happened somewhat serendipitously. In the early 1990s, the studio partnered with Silicon Graphics, a tech giant specializing in high-end computing systems. In exchange for access to Silicon Graphics' cutting-edge hardware, Angel Studios created demos to showcase the machine's capabilities. This partnership proved to be transformative. The demos caught the attention of none other than Nintendo, which was assembling a dream team of development studios to support its then upcoming console, the Nintendo Ultra 64, later known as the Nintendo 64. Angel Studios was invited to join this exclusive group of 10 third-party developers, a significant milestone of the company. Interestingly, another member of this dream team was DMA Design, the studio that would later evolve into Rockstar North. As part of Nintendo's dream team, Angel Studios developed 2 sports games starring baseball legend Ken Griffey Jr., Major League Baseball, and Slugfest, released for the Nintendo 64 in 1998 and 1999 respectively. The studio further cemented its reputation by successfully porting Resident Evil 2 to the N64, a feat that showcased their technical expertise. Notably, this project also marked the studio's first collaboration with a Japanese company, Capcom. Diego Angel's knack for building relationships extended beyond his work with Capcom. Around this time, he befriended Dan and Sam Houser, the founders of Rockstar Games. This connection would prove pivotal for Angel Studios' future. By 1999, Angel Studios had started collaborating with Microsoft on a project that would prove significant for its future, a little game called Midtown Madness. This racing game stood out from its competition by offering players an open-world sandbox experience, breaking away from the confines of traditional racetracks. This innovation didn't go unnoticed, especially by Rockstar Games. Recognizing the potential of Angel Studios, Rockstar partnered with them on 2 key projects, Smuggler's Run and Midnight Club. Before diving into Midnight Club Street Racing, there are a few details to unpack. Earlier, I mentioned how Angel Studios gained the opportunity to work in Japan through Resident Evil 2's port. This connection is relevant because Midnight Club takes inspiration from a real-life Japanese racing group known as the Midnight Club. Formed in the 1970s, this elite group of street racers hosted illegal high-speed runs on the Bayshore route of the Shudo Expressway in the greater Tokyo area. The name and premise of the game pay homage to this infamous underground racing team. The other key point to consider is the gaming landscape at the time of Midnight Club's release. The late 1990s marked the end of an era and the dawn of a new one with the highly anticipated Sony PlayStation 2, ushering a fresh generation of gaming. Rockstar knew how to generate hype, and for Midnight Club Street Racing, they pulled out all the stops. To promote the game, Rockstar shut down Times Square in New York City to film content for its box art and promotional videos. This bold move left fans buzzing with excitement. Finally, the wait came to an end. Less than 2 weeks after the Times Square spectacle, Midnight Club Street Racing was unleashed upon the world, marking the beginning of a new era for both Angel Studios and the racing genre.
Illegal street racing. No tracks, no pit stops, no respect for the law. Rockstar Games presents Midnight Club, rated T for teen. You're in or you're out. Midnight Club.
Unlike my other videos, which often include an in-depth narrative analysis, Midnight Club Street Racing doesn't feature a particularly strong story to dissect. Most of the meaningful context and inspiration behind the game's concept, such as the connection to Japan's infamous Midnight Club, was already covered in the background information section of this video. That said, I'll briefly touch on the game's minimal narrative as part of my gameplay analysis. Midnight Club Street Racing's narrative is relatively simple, focusing more on gameplay than storytelling. The career mode puts you in the shoes of an unnamed character who gets involved to race a fellow racer named Emilio. After winning your first multi-opponent race, you earn the right to challenge Emilio for his car in a one-on-one race. The game's progression revolves around exploring the city, following racers shown on the map until they offer a challenge. You then race against a group of opponents, after which you can challenge them individually by calling them on your in-game phone. The career mode is split between two maps, New York and London. In New York, you must defeat Emilio, Kiko, and Larry Muller to gain insight about the area's champion, Kareem Windross. Beating Kareem unlocks London, where you face a new set of challengers including Kareem again, Lucas Howell-Jones, and Emily Morton. These races lead to the London champion, Darren Thurrock. After defeating Darren, you get the chance to race against the mysterious Midnight Club champion, a young Japanese girl named Anika. Only by beating her do you officially become the Midnight Club champion, concluding the game's story. The gameplay offers interesting unlockables, primarily in the form of new cars won by beating opponents. Often, these racers boast about having even better cars than the ones you just won from them. Both New York and London feature bonus markers that unlock improved versions of the Taxi and Kuruma Fasudo. As a nod to Angel Studios and Rockstar's previous collaboration, players with the Smuggler's Run save file automatically unlock the Doom Buggy in Midnight Club Street Racing. Now, the other mode available is the arcade mode, which offers players a variety of racing challenges and opportunities to unlock new content. In this mode, players can participate in waypoint races and head-to-head competitions across both New York and City London maps. The arcade mode includes a series of waypoint races that progressively increase in difficulty. By winning these races, players can unlock bonus cars specific to each city. For instance, winning the 12th, 13th, and 14th Manhattan waypoint races in arcade mode unlocks the Manhattan bonus cars. Similarly, completing the corresponding races in London unlocks the London bonus cars. Players can also unlock special vehicles by exploring the cities and finding bonus markers. In New York, discovering one bonus marker unlocks the Super Taxi, while finding two bonus markers rewards a player with the Marauder. London offers a series of Kuruma Fasudo vehicles with the GR, GS, and GT variants unlocked by finding 1, 2, and 3 bonus markers respectively. Completing specific levels in the head-to-head mode of the arcade mode unlocks various car models. For example, finishing Manhattan levels 1, 4, and 7 unlocks all Cruiseros, while completing London levels 2, 5, and 6 grant all access to Ascents. The game also rewards players for reaching high levels, such as unlocking the Manhattan police car by completing Manhattan level 10 in head-to-head mode. For those seeking an extra challenge, completing the entire career mode unlocks the Zender Alpha, while achieving 100% completion rewards of players with the Zender Type 2S. These high-performance vehicles serve as a testament to the player's skill and dedication in mastering Midnight Club Street Racing's various modes and challenges. Okay, so Midnight Club Street Racing was released on two separate platforms. The first one, and the most important one, was the Sony PlayStation 2. Now, if you recall from my background information portion, this game was a launch title for the PS2. Released on October 26, 2000, alongside the American launch of the PlayStation 2, Midnight Club Street Racing showcased the capabilities of Sony's new console. The game utilized the PS2's hardware to create an immersive open-world racing experience, set in detailed recreations of New York City and London. Despite being an early title for the system, it managed to maintain a solid frame rate of 30 frames per second, which was impressive for the time. The PS2 version of Midnight Club Street Racing offered players a unique racing experience with its open-world design, a concept that was relatively new in racing games at the time. Graphically, the game pushed the PS2's capabilities, featuring detailed car models, impressive lighting effects, and large explorable city environments. While some reviewers noted that the visuals could be rough around the edges, others praised the game's rain effect and the overall atmosphere of nighttime street racing. The game's soundtrack, featuring house, techno, and drum and bass artists, added to the underground racing ambiance and represented the dark motivation of the Midnight Club members. The other port of this game is the Game Boy Advance version. This port was developed by Rebellion Developments and published by Destination Software. It was released on November 9th, 2001, about a year after the PlayStation 2 version. This port differs significantly from its PS2 counterpart in several key aspects. The most notable difference was the change in perspective. While the PS2 version offered a 3D open world environment, the Game Boy Advance version adopted a top-down view due to the handheld's limited hardware capabilities. This change in perspective had a significant impact on gameplay, making it more challenging for players to anticipate upcoming turns or obstacles. The AI drivers in the Game Boy Advance port were criticized for being very basic, further detracting from the racing experience. Another significant difference was the save system. The Game Boy Advance version implemented a password save system, which was seen as a step backwards. Players had to manually write down passwords to save their progress, and there was no way to recover a password if not recorded, potentially causing players to lose their progress. Despite these limitations, the Game Boy Advance port attempted to maintain some core elements of the original game. Players still started as a cab driver trying to break into the Midnight Club racing scene. The career mode remained the primary focus, allowing players to unlock races and cars as they progress. The limitations of the Game Boy Advance hardware and the changes made to adapt the game to the platform resulted in a significantly different and less well-received experience compared to its PS2 counterpart. The reception for Midnight Club Street Racing was a bit of a mixed bag, depending on which version you played. The PlayStation 2 version generally got favorable reviews, while the Game Boy Advance version had a tougher time winning people over. On the PS2 side, critics praised the game for its car selection, well-designed city levels, and fun gameplay. IGN's Doug Class C Perry highlighted the single and multiplayer modes as big wins, and GameSpot's Jeff Gerstmann called it a solid arcade-style racer. Now, the Game Boy Advance version, that one didn't fare as well. Nintendo Power thought it was decent but repetitive, and All Gamer's Skylar Miller compared it to a slower, less fun version of Grand Theft Auto. IGN's Craig Harris pointed out that the top-down perspective made it hard to follow the tracks, leading to trial and error frustration. Add in the clunky AI and flawed password save system, and it was easy to see why this version didn't click with everyone. Sales-wise, though, the PS2 version did great. It ranked high on the charts in late 2000 and early 2001, selling 1.5 million copies in the United States by 2006. It even snagged awards, including Racing Game of 2000 from IGN and recognition at GameSpot's Best and Worst 2000s awards. Not too shabby for a game that kicked off a beloved franchise. Now let's look at how the common gamer truly felt about the game. They had a lot to say about Midnight Club, and opinions were generally positive, especially for the PS2 version. Many appreciated its unique premise, taking the underground world of illegal street racing and turning it into an open city adventure. The combination of large detailed cities like New York and London, destructible environments, and the thrill of evading police created a sense of freedom and excitement that resonated with players. The car graphics, while not perfect, earned praise for their shimmering effects and smooth designs. And the lively cityscapes were a highlight for fans who enjoy exploring every corner, from rooftops to hidden shortcuts. Players loved the multiplayer mode, with some calling it even more enjoyable than the solo experience. Features like Capture the Flag and co-op style crushing added a variety and kept players coming back. That said, there were a few gripes. The gameplay was fun and addictive, but not particularly innovative, and some fans felt the campaign was too short. Others noted that the controls became tricky at high speeds, making tight maneuvers frustrating. Still, the replay value bolstered by hidden cars, quirky unlockables like an ice cream truck and double-decker buses, and the sheer fun of causing chaos in the city. I've played my fair share of racing games over the years, and for an early 2000s title, Midnight Club Street Racing is definitely a product of its time. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but as the start of a new generation of racing games on the PS2, it's easy to see its significance. Compared to the heavyweights like Need for Speed or Gran Turismo, it's a bit primitive, but that's part of its charm. The game's nostalgic vibe really stood out to me. Something about the high-speed intro and the cheesy background graphics and the energy of the soundtrack took me straight back to the early 2000s, evoking memories of the first few Fast and Furious films. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. It's a mixed bag. The career mode had potential, but the execution was flawed. I like the concept of driving around and challenging racers, but following them for an unpredictable amount of time to initiate a race was frustrating. Their driving AI didn't help either. These NPCs will fly through the city at 130 miles per hour, smashing into everything in sight, only to make absurdly sharp turns out of nowhere. Honestly, chasing them was harder than the races themselves. The races weren't a cakewalk either. If you didn't know the map, the routes, or the shortcuts, you were bound to crash into walls and restart multiple times. One moment you're in first place, and the next one bad turn drops you straight to fourth. To top it off, the handling system wasn't great. It was early days for racing games on the PS2, and the controls felt overly sensitive, especially at higher speeds. It took constant adjustments just to drive in a straight line. For me, the career mode was forgettable. The real fun was in the arcade mode. No chasing down racers, just pick a car and drive. It's simple, relaxing, and captures what people love the most about racing games. One funny detail that stuck with me was the NPC racer names. In group races, sometimes they just be called Homeboy Number 1 or Homeboy Number 3. It's such a small thing, but it made me laugh every time. Ironically, it ties back to the real-life inspiration for the game, the Midnight Club. In a documentary I watched, many of the members of the real club didn't even know each other's names, so the homeboy labels feel oddly fitting. While Midnight Club Street Racing may be overshadowed today by bigger franchises and better racing games, it's still a nostalgic experience. The atmosphere and soundtrack really shine, even if the gameplay doesn't hold up as well by today's standards. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. It's not groundbreaking, but it's worth revisiting for a trip down memory lane. This video might have been short, but if you made it to the end, thank you for joining me for the first episode of the Rockstar Takeover. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you're craving more Rockstar history, check out my Grand Theft Auto Retrospectives. And don't forget, the next episode in the Rockstar Takeover will be GTA 3, dropping in 2 weeks. But before that, we're switching gears next week with the Mortal Kombat Takeover, where I'll be diving into Mortal Kombat 3. This is the Retro Phantom, signing out.